Hello and welcome back to Automotive Grace. Thanks for joining me. A Merry Christmas to you all. I guess at this busy time of the year you don't have enough to do, so you've chosen to watch this video, and I really appreciate it. Now, you've seen my recent videos where I've brought in my 1958 Pontiac Strato Chief from South Africa, and that was a bit of a long process, but it's all good to go now. So I thought I'd just go through some of the costs in case you're looking at classic cars in South Africa and you're thinking to yourself, oh, that's a pretty good price. I wonder if it's worth bringing it into the UK. I want to give you an idea of the cost to import a car from South Africa. And you can make an informed decision as to whether that is a good deal for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Just a disclaimer before I start, your experience may differ. So these are purely my costs and my experience, and there are some variable costs in here, and I'll try to go through those so that you can figure out for yourself what a car would cost, and you would also see what my car costs. So my 1958 Pontiac Strato Chief, to import it from South Africa, let's get started. So I employ a freight company, a very experienced freight company, to do the importation. That's here in the UK. And the reason that I do that is because there is a ton of paperwork to do to import a vehicle. And it's better to let the professionals just take care of all of that. Also, having someone who's experienced makes a big difference. They engage with experienced third parties in South Africa that they know and trust, and they take care of the South African end of the deal while they take care of the UK, but really they're in charge of everything. If there's ever a problem, you just go straight to them and they will sort it out for you. There's no phoning multiple companies and trying to sort out things. One-stop shop. Find someone who's experienced, who's done this before, especially importing cars from South Africa. I'm not going to mention who they are because this is a non-commercial channel, and I don't get any financial benefit, and I don't want to say that there isn't other companies like them out there. But I've used them to import my 1974 Bitter CD from South Africa, my 1962 Mini from South Africa, and my 2007 Pontiac Solstice from Canada, and now my 58 Pontiac from South Africa. So I can highly recommend going to an experienced freight company in the UK that has experience importing vehicles from around the world, and specifically South Africa. The other thing you should know is that the variable costs depend very much on the size of the car and the value of the car and the age of the car. So let's just go from the top there. The size of the car. In the case of my little Mini, I was able to import it in a small container, and it was shared with another vehicle. So you had two vehicles in a container, and that really cuts down the import costs. With the 58 Pontiac, it's a pretty massive vehicle, so it had to go in the larger size container. And there wasn't any other cars scheduled for that journey at the time. So it had to have an entire container to itself, and it was the larger container, so it was a bit more expensive. So for a smaller vehicle, your cost may be a little bit less. The other thing is marine insurance. Now, the car is not insured whilst in transit in the container. So if the container falls off the ship or gets knocked and your car comes loose and gets damaged within the container, you want to be able to claim that on insurance, because really it's your pride and joy. It's my pride and joy. I don't want it to arrive here all battered or not at all and then be left with nothing. Also, I thought it was pretty reasonably priced. I think I paid 1.2675% of the value of the vehicle for insurance. And that covers it from the moment the doors of the container close to the point where the doors of the container are opened. So at least you know that if the unforeseen does happen, at least you've got some financial security there to repair your car or replace it. The other thing is age. if you import a vehicle that is younger than 40 years old, in other words, not yet attaining historic status in the UK, you have to pay full VAT and full import duty. Now, VAT in the UK is 20% and import duty is 10%. So you can imagine adding another 30% onto the cost of your vehicle is a huge chunk of money. And, well, I mean, it's up to you whether you want to decide whether that's worth it or not. But if your vehicle is older than 40 years, as the Pontiac was, you pay no import duty and you pay only 5% VAT on the value of the car. So, you know, depending on the value of the car, you're going to be paying 5% on top of that to His Majesty's Revenue Collection Service. So, size of the car is variable. The insurance, you don't have to take insurance, but you can. And again, it's a variable 1.2675%, which I paid on the Pontiac on the value of the car. So check with your freight company what kind of deal they can get for you. They may be able to do better than that or might be worse than that. And then if your vehicle's older than 40 years old, 20% VAT and 10% import duty. Otherwise, 5%, which is what I paid. So let's get into it. The freight of the car itself. So if you phone the people and you get an idea of what they would charge you, always get a quote beforehand. They'll want to know the type of vehicle and the size and the weight and so on. And they will then give you a quote. But that quote, there's more to the quote than just the freight cost, because you have your freight, you have your landing fees, you have your VAT, you have your insurance, and there's other factors like transportation and potentially documentation as well. So for freight charges, I'm just going to read it out here that I give you an idea of what it costs exactly. I paid £3,950, and that includes ITAC export permit, storage, container transport, container lifts, load and secure vehicle, cargo dues, documentation, liner fees, bill of lading, ocean freight, marine recovery, compass agency fee, whatever that is. So that's essentially getting the car all sorted in South Africa, loaded on a container, secured, scheduled on the ship, customs cleared, and physically loaded onto the ship. Then on the side, the UK side, when the car lands, there's additional fees to be paid. And I paid £845 for the landing fees. Now the landing fees are landing costs, documentation, loading fee, container transit to the freight depot, customs clearance, physically unpacking the vehicle, condition report and photographs, removal and dispersal of debris, packing material and that sort of thing, and the NOVA certificate. So the NOVA certificate is a notification of vehicle arrival, and that is an application to His Majesty's Revenue Service. It's a document that confirms that you've paid all the VAT on the vehicle, in this case 5%. And it's that NOVA certificate, along with your car's documentation, that you then submit to the DVLA, our local licensing authority, and they will then accept that as proof that your vehicle has been fully customs cleared, taxes paid, and you can then register the vehicle in the UK. So 3,950 plus the 845 for landing. If you throw in £222, that's the marine insurance I was talking to you about. And then the 5% VAT, which I paid, was £845. And that again is the 5% because the vehicle is older than 40 years. I also paid to transport the vehicle from the freight company where it was unloaded to my house, because remember, the vehicle is not fully registered in the UK. It cannot be driven on UK roads, and therefore you need to effectively trailer the car from the freight depot to your home or storage, wherever you're going to keep it. Now, I don't have access to a trailer, so I couldn't do it myself. I had to employ a company to do that. And I phoned around, and the quotes were wildly different. But I ended up paying £300 to collect the car from the freight depot and transport it home. Many of the quotes were more than double that, and I was extremely happy with the organization that I used. The other additional fee that I paid was there was some additional documentation I needed. When you watch my next video, which when I'll go through all the documentation struggles I had with the DVLA, hopefully after watching that video, you can avoid paying this fee. But I had to pay another £125 for some documentation in order to get the vehicle registered and road legal. The other thing which is worth noting is the 5% VAT that you pay on the vehicle is based on the higher of the market value or the assessed value of the vehicle. So previously with a Mini, for example, I declared a value of the vehicle. That value was accepted. HMRC was happy. I paid the 5% VAT on top of that. But it seems, I suspect some people are giving, let's say, optimistically low valuations of cars. And HMRC has now clamped down on that. So what they do is they request a valuation certificate from a valuation company, official valuation accredited firm, which is an independent valuation. And in the case of the Pontiac, I got the Pontiac for free. So, the money I paid was not part of that. I declared a value which I thought was very fair, and the official valuation came back really close to my declared valuation. So the VAT that I paid was £845. I expect in the past, people are trying to pay as little VAT as possible, but that loophole has been closed. So if you do declare a value, make sure that it is a fair value. And again, if you paid more for it, you need to prove what you paid for it, and they're going to charge you more VAT on that. So altogether, with the variables being a fairly large car in a large container which wasn't shared, 5% VAT, 1.3% approximately marine insurance, and the fact that the car is older than 40 years old, you don't have to pay the full 10% import duty and 20% VAT, only the 5%. So for the freight, you've got £3,950. Freight receipt and documentation on this end is £845. The 5% VAT is £845. Marine insurance, £222. The valuation for tax purposes, £90. Transportation is £300. And the additional documentation that I needed, which I'll cover in another video, was £125. So the total cost to import my free 1958 Pontiac Strato Chief was £6,377, which is a lot of money. But even you must admit it is a great deal of car, and I think it is the coolest car in the world. And it is my dad's car, so it's something that stays in the family, and it has good memories for me and for my dad. So it was well worth the £6,377, which I think is the bargain of the century. If you are considering buying a classic car in South Africa and you want to get a rough idea of what it would cost, hopefully this is useful. What I normally do is I look at the cost of the asking price of a classic car. I top up by about 30%, because that's what it would cost to import it. So if you find the right vehicle, even with an additional 30% on the price, if you still think it's a good deal, then it's probably going to be a pretty good deal for you, and you can probably not be surprised by any costs. That's variable. Again, it depends on a couple of things: the size of the vehicle, the value of the vehicle, and whether or not you want marine insurance. I advise that you do, and it's a fairly low amount, 1.3% of the value of the vehicle. So yeah, what do you think? Is it worth it? £6,377 for my 58 Pontiac Strato Chief? I think it's a good deal. If I think of what it was worth in South Africa, and I added the £6,377, I don't think it would be worth exporting if you're doing this for a commercial reason. So purchasing a vehicle in South Africa, shipping it across here to sell, you should be aware that not every classic car in South Africa is worth importing. Some cars are strangely worth more in South Africa than they are in the UK, and a lot of other cars are worth a lot more in the UK than in South Africa. So choose wisely, and as I said, use a basic rule of 30% to get a feel for the price. So yeah, I hope you found that useful. I hope you've had a good Christmas, and we've got some content coming up. I'm going to the Bicester Scramble on the 5th of January, and that will be the first outing, official outing for the Pontiac, and I hope to see you there. So thanks for listening, thanks for joining. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. If there's something I haven't commented on in this video that you would like to know about importing the vehicle, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll respond to you as soon as possible. So yeah, thanks for joining, really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Take care, bye.